Hi, this is Eternal King here, bringing you another LOR video today. We're going to be jumping into some Ryze games. Now, do keep in mind that Ryze is not a competitive deck. It is a 45% win rate deck, and no amount of modifications that I make to my list, including new cards like Steel Gale, will make it a competitive deck, because you'll just instantly lose into things like anti-burn aggro, anti-gen, which obviously is a very easy to play deck and is very powerful, but assuming that you have like a decent mid-range matchup and the opponent isn't running a ton of landmark removal, you can maybe go off and play the game. That sounds a little discouraging. That's because I don't want to like a lot of streamers will misrepresent the power of a deck. So like I've taken Ryze, and you know, even if I elevate it by 5%, in terms of its win rate, it'll only be a 50% win rate deck, because of the matchups being so polarizing into things like aggro and stuff like that. So this is my preferred version, and I will share it and I'll show it off to you and all that good stuff, but please be aware that it is not, you know, the most powerful thing in the entire world. You know, normal Ryze stuff, double landmark into mana regain, kind of the strongest opener you can have. Yeah. A bounce here would be great, homecoming will do.
I will die when I am ready.
I'm just gonna preemptively do this. And then he can replay it if he wants, but he can't replay the equipment, so he has to choose like either or. Yeah. Sure. That's fine.
To death I go.
So we'll take 3 damage here. And then rather than burn the mana, I'll just get this 3rd landmark in hand. So we are in fact looking okay right now. Oh man, I should have spent the mana. See, even I make mistakes on this deck. Like, I should have spent the mana first and I didn't, which was like super dumb. I'm gonna do it this time though. Steel Gale's good. So like even I make mistakes, which often is like burning mana off of the landmark. It's a very hard deck to pilot, Ryze. Like, not only is it not that powerful, it's also exceptionally hard to pilot. So good news is our hand has 3 stuns into whatever it is the opponent plays or does, and we have 3 landmarks on board. Ryze is coming down leveled. So despite our little misplay there where we burn mana, which you should never do in Ryze, we should still be in a pretty good spot for this game. And in fact, I might just throw a preemptive Steel Gale into this. That's if the opponent doesn't just like auto-concede, which again, you know, might happen. Typically what will happen is people will see my Ryze list, and then they will either, you know, basically hard counter with aggro or hard counter with landmark removal, and there isn't much in between. But again, this deck is not good enough to really require that. So again, we're just going to preemptively stun this. It's basically Gravitum, right? So we're just going to preemptively do that.
Is this the face of fear?
Sure. Again, we have so many stuns. Ryze comes down levels here. We have lots of life.
It is time. I must fight for Runeterra.
So again, feeling good so far.
I will stand this madness no longer.
Again, I'm pretty happy to throw in like a Rune Prison or whatever, whatever he plays here. Yeah, sure. Here you go. I just want to get this out of my hand, so happy to feed him it. Because we just get it back anyway.
Now you will understand. I will stand this madness no longer.
So we got another Delve here. Healing is like, we're not going to be killing anything with the pings, so
Desperation begets folly.
we're 4 to 5 on a leveled Ryze now. Feeling okay into this matchup. Again, you can never feel 100% confident with Ryze specifically. And then we're going to try to dig for last landmark. Skip all this crap. We're trying to dig for last landmark for win con. Okay. Didn't hit it, which means that we are a sad panda boy. We just do this.
I warned you. Together.
And then when he does that, we just homecoming the landmark. We have spell shield, so that doesn't work.
Now you will understand.
And then we just replay the landmark.
Peace is a trail of faith. Who am I to judge a problem?
I guess in this instance the ping would have been better than the heal, but like it doesn't matter. This game is so over at this point. And you know what? Preemptive Steel Gale, just to be a jerk. Just full lockdown here. Nothing the opponent can do. This is like the value of my list, is that it runs a high number of stuns, a high number of bounces, a lot of card draw, a lot of heal. We just successfully drew into our last landmark here. So delve, get our. There we go.
The teacher was flawed.
So OTK is online. Opponent will have to successfully strike Ryze this turn, and we have Will of Ionia to protect. And we even have second Ryze. So again, all plays lead to the opponent losing here. So we can Rune Prison for 0, and then when he tries to strike in response, then we just Will of Ionia the card.
Onwards.
So, and of course, you know, standard players, they always swing. Just what they do. And it's why Eternal's a little bit different, right? Like, Ryze is a fun deck because it doesn't function like any other deck. You don't open attack with anything. You don't attack at all. Your only goal is to stay alive and prevent the opponent from doing what they're supposed to be doing. So basically, I just click pass a bunch, and then I'm going to open swing for lethal if the opponent doesn't concede, which again might very well happen. These games are pretty long from a recording perspective, so again, and you know, even there you saw I misplayed once by burning the additional mana. So there was a small misplay there. But you saw the power of Steel Gale being the new addition to the deck. I also really like Ritual of Renewal over just generating chumpers, more chumpers, because again, I just don't think it does much. Yes, it will slightly increase your win rate into like an aggro matchup, but like that's all it's going to do. Yeah. It'll slightly increase your win rate into an aggro matchup to run Otters, essentially. The Otters are 1/1 chump blockers, and then you get a tiny bit of hand disruption, but it doesn't really do anything in the matchups that you want to win 100% of the time. Like, for example, if you go into like any sort of mid-range matchup, any sort of control matchup, any sort of like combo matchup, you want to be able to win those 100% of the time with your Ryze deck. And then if it's aggro, you're just like, okay, whatever. So I'm trying to maximize my possibility there. We got ourselves an Eddy, so meta matchup. This is a Ryze, so again, you keep Ryzes. And then the rest of this hand is Garbo. So again, the other thing that leads to a small, like a 50-50 win rate in this deck is that you saw that one game I had like what we call the nuts in LOR, right? Like I high rolled Ryze as hard as you can high roll Ryze. Triple landmark off the top, plus Ryze in hand is just like you can't lose, right? There's no losing there. This will slow opponent down slightly, so whatever. I just need to slow down their ramp condition. And then, yeah, get Ryze on board before, you know, anything scary is happening. This is the only thing we can do with this particular hand state is stall and then shuffle in landmarks. So we showed you a good hand. I'm now going to show you a bad hand. Opponent's going to replay your ramp here. Yeah, which is fine. And I'll swing for memes, but like, honestly, it doesn't matter. Yeah, and the opponent has double ramp. So like that's, we did not successfully slow them down here, which is really bad. So the opponent's going to play a 6 mana card and most likely eat our Ryze. Like, there's no world where he doesn't. Okay, he's just going to ramp more. Sure. In that case, I guess we dig for landmark. And we don't hit it, right? So we've shuffled in landmark successfully. We tried to delay out the game. We had to full time skip mull and then eventually hit our landmark. These are even bad landmarks. Like, these aren't even good. I guess we just take the stun here. And then, yeah, we're just going to, like, deny, bounce, you know, Ryze stuff. And then hope that's enough to, like, get us there. But this is, like, what we call a bad Ryze hand. They do exist. And the opponent's already a mana 9, so he can just, like, play whatever he wants at this point. But yeah, so again, I think this is going to be a pretty good demonstration of the Ryze equation, where it's like, in one hand state, Heisho with, interesting. Well, I guess we just homecoming that, because, like, again, what else are we going to do? Again, this is like, there's no way that we win this. It is just a case of, like, with Ryze, and it's always been the case. I know, you can have another one, and I'm going to give him a popcorn emote. It's just like, there's nothing I can do, bud. Here you go, have another one. Again, there's nothing I can do. There's nothing in Ryze that can possibly deal with just, like, turbo ramp into Heisho into nonsense. Nothing in the entire room. You can just, again, play all your big stuff, and I'm just going to let him swing into Nexus. But, like, this is the case of, like, sometimes you have the nuts, and you instantly win the game, and then sometimes the opponent hard counters your build with Ryze, and then you don't get to play the game, and you don't have the nuts. And that's generally why Ryze, even in terms of quote-unquote the good players, which again, I am a very good player, I'm one of the top players in Ranked Eternal, just like numerically speaking. I'm telling you that if you go on Runeterra AR right now, you look at the stats, Ryze has roughly a 45% win rate. So even if my deck is marginally better than the best Ryze deck, you're still going to have these sort of 50-50 win rate equations where it's like sometimes you have the nuts, sometimes you don't, sometimes you get hard countered, and then other times you get to play the video game. So like here he's just going to, again, this is what's going to happen. It doesn't matter. There's no hand state in the entire world that matters. Because again, the opponent got mad at me beating them with Ryze, which I have been kind of popularizing this deck. And they kind of get mad, and then they go full, you know, hard counter mode. Again, it's just, yeah, they're you know, having their fun, and I think it is important to give players their fun. Otherwise, they do tend to get too frustrated. Like, you don't want them to constantly be reminded of the fact that, you know, you're playing a 45% win rate deck, and that they feel the need to essentially hard counter you with whatever this is happening right now, which is like turbo Lissandra Watcher into each your deck into all 10 mana plays. It's like, yeah, you're right. That seems good into Ryze. My 45% win rate deck. That seems very good into that terrible 50% win rate deck. So again, I'll show off the list now. It really is, you know, what I consider to be the most effective version of Ryze, which is a 50-50 deck where either you just face roll people and they don't get to play the game, or they get mad and they face roll you. Will the experience be different on competitive ladder where people can, you know, not meme quite as hard? Maybe. Probably not, because then you'll just run into more aggro decks. But again, it is very fun. You know, that is kind of the thing that Ryze has always had going for him, is that it is a high roll deck, it is a combo deck, and it's an OTK deck, and it is playable in Eternal, especially thanks to the new Steel Gale card kind of just being decent in a lot of mid-range situations. We showed off what the card does and why it's good. Because when the opponent plays high-tempo followers that are big, you just preactively Steel Gale them and then do your solitaire stuff. Or you get hard countered, which is the second game that we showed. And I'm going to keep both games in the recording because I think it's very, very important to not misrepresent the effectiveness of a deck in LOR. A lot of streamers will do that. I don't edit my videos. Every single win that I show off is a sequential win. It is a win that is unedited. And in that case, I will keep this loss in to show you one game we high rolled, and then we face rolled, and then one game we got countered, and then we got rolled. And we also low rolled. But even if we didn't low roll, it wouldn't matter. Because again, the opponent's running like probably the perfect counter to what Ryze is trying to do. This is Eternal King, signing out.